the spirit of the movie, the voice of the movie is still very much grounded in that kind of like super stupid wordplay and sight gags and slapstick. And, you know, when that stuff is done right, nothing is funnier.
The Naked Gun is stupid. I say this with all my heart and in every sense of the word. The 2025 update of the classic police movie spoofs starring Leslie Nielsen is idiotic, asinine, and downright preposterous, and it had me grinning ear to ear.
Who are you?
Frank Drebin, Police Squad. The new version.
The Naked Gun is a parade of slapstick, sight gags, and more deadpan wordplay than an infinite number of dads responding to an infinite number of group texts could ever conjure. It subjects the Oscar-nominated star of Schindler's List to a battery of humiliations that include, but are not limited to, extended scenes of intestinal distress,
Need a bathroom.
visual sexual innuendo, and interactions with multiple, intentionally janky-looking puppets. I liked all 85 minutes of it, and I can't wait to see it again just to pick up any of the punchlines I laughed over or funny little signs I overlooked. Stupid was the name of the game when Nielsen played boneheaded cop Frank Drebin in 6 episodes of the brilliant yet canceled Police Squad.
When she leaves, put a tail on her.
And its 3 big screen spin-offs.
Nothing to see here!
And it remains so with Liam Neeson in the role of boneheaded cop Frank Drebin Jr. The fearless foolishness of the new Naked Gun begins with casting Neeson because his name kinda sorta sounds like Nielsen's, and doesn't let up until the last fake, pun-laden credit rolls.
Says you served 20 years for man's laughter.
You mean manslaughter?
But as proven by every sweaty genre parody that popped up in Scary Movie's wake, it takes genuine wit, talent, and inspiration to make a good movie out of something this dumb. Frank Jr. may be standing on the just-out-of-frame shoulders of spoof giants David Zucker, his brother Jerry, and their longtime collaborator Jim Abrams, but he's been hoisted up there by a guy who knows a good idea
Hear us out!
when he sees one, the Lonely Island's Akiva Schaffer. Schaffer's primary upgrade to the Naked Gun formula is an added visual panache, as opposed to the flat, overlit, TV-like compositions preferred by Abrams and the Zuckers. His camera swirls and swoops around Neeson and co-stars Paul Walter Hauser and Pamela Anderson. Taking the filmmaking so seriously only serves to underline the glorious absurdities unfolding within the frame. At one point, Neeson is locked in a frenetic punch-up that wouldn't look out of place in a Taken sequel, until he pulls his adversary's arms off and starts swinging them like flesh and bone nunchucks.
That was awesome.
The gravitas that carried Neeson through both the acclaimed star of prestigious period pictures and aging action movie badass phases of his career is trickier to wield. He's fully committed to playing Frank's obliviousness and delusions of heroism, never giving way to the shameless, cross-eyed mugging Nielsen was frequently guilty of. He expertly modulates into a higher register to, say, rant about DVR etiquette or wince through a chili dog-induced bathroom emergency.
Oh, I'm gonna ruin another suit.
But when he's in beatdown mode, the goofus-turned-gallant contrast isn't quite there. It's almost like we need a gag as outrageous as the detachable arms, or the stream of bad guys queuing up behind a take-a-number stanchion that follows it, to remind us that this is, indeed, a comedy. Not exactly what you want from a franchise renowned from playing its funny business with the straightest face possible. Fortunately, the vintage Zaz spirit translates more cleanly in other areas. This thing is absolutely packed with jokes, not all of which call attention to themselves. Several phony corporate logos and silly slogans linger in the foreground and background. My favorite is the Crypto.com arena riffing name of the setting for a climactic MMA bout. I won't reveal that here, I'll just let you be able to laugh at it in the theater. Frank is constantly being handed coffee cups from off-screen, with Schaffer and the props department making a meal of the cups' size, where they're deposited, and how they're delivered. If a certain timeliness appears to be creeping into the humor via Danny Huston's tech mogul villain Richard Kane, and the way his evil scheme subtly razzes the Hollywood reboot fever that made this Naked Gun possible, just remember that the second movie in the franchise pinned some of its laughs to the not-so-evergreen foibles of Zsa Zsa Gabor and Walter Mondale. More worrisome are references to the 2004 Super Bowl and the lineup of the Black Eyed Peas that, for all their non-sequitur specificity, feel like they're left over from drafts of earlier, circa 2010s attempts to bring Drebin out of cold storage. Between Kane, Nicholas Holt's rendition of Lex Luthor and Superman, and Jermaine Clement's Megan 2.0 character, I think we're reaching a saturation point for cinematic bad guys who are mock Musks and bogus Bezoses. Not that those guys don't deserve to be portrayed like villains, they're just becoming a stale stock type. Still, it's hard to get too mad about a movie whose big apocalyptic plot hinges on a gizmo identified on screen as the PLOT device. The Naked Gun's hit-to-miss ratio is highly weighted toward the hits, and there's a great variety to them too. The
Cigarette?
Yes, it is.
style setups pile up quickly.
Guess you really can't fight City Hall, huh?
No, it's a building.
But those are balanced with a couple of segments where Schaffer lets his freak flag fly at length. While Hauser is largely stuck playing straight man to Frank's nonsense, keeping him from the sort of lunacy that allowed his mole man to steal swaths of first steps right from under the Fantastic Four, Pamela Anderson gets a couple of spotlight moments to go hilariously ham. The path to her full-fledged post-The Last Showgirl comeback runs through some on-point comedic scatting in The Naked Gun.
Please, take a chair.
Thank you.
For these and other reasons, I haven't even gotten to the fun the script has with Frank's hard-boiled voiceover narration. It's tempting to overrate The Naked Gun for merely existing, for being itself, or, to paraphrase the musician who's now appeared in all 4 Naked Gun movies, daring to be stupid.
Weird Al Yankovic is on the plane.
There's nothing truly new about a new release that's built on the bones of a comedy that came out in 1988, but the lack of a major studio comedy of this caliber in theaters in 2025? That deepens the impression The Naked Gun leaves. It, like its predecessors and previous Schaffer efforts like Pop Star Never Stop Never Stopping, will thrive in living rooms and on laptops, where you'll be able to pause and screenshot every last joke. But I can't overstate how good it felt to laugh at those jokes in a dark room full of friends and strangers, where Liam Neeson's naked butt, or that of a body double, was spread wide across a giant screen. It's a sad comment on the current state of movies, but there actually is some novelty to that experience. The Naked Gun may not be a groundbreaking comedy classic, but in its own silly way, it does feel important. It shows that something this much of a lark can still be made with craft and care and maximum entertainment value. I hope we get to see more Naked Guns, and more movies like them. I hope they're not sentenced to streaming purgatory, because to stop making broad, unabashed comedies of this stripe, or to keep them from coming to a theater near you, now that'd be really stupid.
Pretty smooth. This place is falling apart.
The Naked Gun is unlikely to overshadow the cop movie spoof that inspired it, or its 2 sequels. Liam Neeson tries as damnedest, but is slightly too steely as the moronic Lieutenant Frank Drebin Jr., and most of the big laughs are just modern-day variations on jokes first told in the 1980s. If not earlier. But just because there's a bit of must on them doesn't mean that they're not funny. And considering the relatively deserted theatrical comedy landscape of 2025, Akiva Schaffer's faithful, unapologetically dumb police squad update plays like a big, refreshing gulp from the seltzer bottle. With more jokes than you can possibly catch in a single viewing, The Naked Gun proudly brings cinematic groaners and outrageous sight gags into the 2020s.
Police business.
Hey everybody, Clint Gage here with IGN Entertainment Reviews editor and the author of our Naked Gun review, Erik Adams. Erik, how's it going, man?
Going all right. It's a hot one, as Rob Thomas might say.
Indeed, he's still saying that, which is wild. But I appreciate you hopping on and talking more about the Naked Gun. This is one that I'm excited about, but this is also one that you wanted to do. You called this review a little bit ago. Why?
Comedy in general is just like my genre, and I also have a very specific appreciation for the spoof sub-genre, which is an area of filmmaking that can go very, very right, but can also go very, very wrong. And the original Naked Gun and Police Squad, are examples of where it went very right. It didn't necessarily hit when it was on TV, but then it became kind of a phenomenon when the movies started coming out. And I have a lot of respect for anybody who can just pack a bunch of jokes in to a short span of time and make most of them land.
Nice beaver.
Thank you. I just had it stuffed.
Let me help you with that.
But the spirit of the movie, the voice of the movie is still very much grounded in that kind of like super stupid wordplay and sight gags and slapstick. And, when that stuff is done right, nothing is funnier.
Please, take a chair.
Thank you.
That's what I wanted to ask you about, is, the idea of like a really intelligent version of stupid on screen and be like doing things that look bad on purpose, and that's the gag. Like, I don't know that there's much harder than that.
it's a very delicate balance, and I think the movie does it fairly well, especially with the wordplay gags. Like, they really, really amp that aspect up in this script, and like they come every couple of minutes. I feel like it is kind of hard to find, I don't know, new versions of that, different idioms like that can be taken literally and then, you know, spun off in that kind of ridiculous dad joke way. But I don't know, this one found really fresh ways to do that, and it just every time it happened, it had me cackling. What a feeling to be laughing that hard at a movie in a theater in 2025. The critics should not root for the box office success of a movie, but I really want this Naked Gun to do well so that the people that make decisions about what movies get made will feel a little bit more comfortable about putting comedies in the theater.
I'm with you. Yeah, it's a strange thing to just to like root for a movie to do well. I guess it's the thing is like I'm just rooting for more of these, and the way we get more of these is for this to do well. So it's like, you know,
especially so hot on the heels of Happy Gilmore 2. Like, you know, just this past weekend I was at a family reunion, and so many times I overheard people in my family talking about Happy Gilmore 2 and how excited they were about it, and how like some of them had watched it and found it really funny, and some of them were excited to watch it. And it was just like, you are leaving so much money, not to like talk about the business aspect of it, but people want this stuff. They want to watch it together, and like, I don't know what is the deal.
I mean, similar experiences earlier this year with Friendship. Like watching Friendship by yourself, sure, that can be a funny movie, but watching Friendship on a Friday night in the theater with a whole bunch of people, it is a wildly different experience, you know?
Oh, yeah. I hope there's kind of like a 1-2 punch effect there of Friendship and Naked Gun, making people less afraid of comedies.
Maybe. Yes, stop being afraid of comedy. One of the other things that I did want to ask about, just in terms of how it sort of refreshes some of these older jokes, like it seems to me that the movie sort of subtly changes what genre it's actually spoofing. This feels more like it's action movies, action cop movies instead of TV cop series, which is a subtle difference, but a difference nonetheless. And, you know, was that a good thing for you?
You know, I think that's where it's kind of allowing the fact that Liam Neeson is playing Frank Drebin Jr. to lead where the movie is going. You know, and it is like the fight scenes, the way that they are shot, like they are definitely trying to land in a more action movie, really kind of like I feel like a post-Taken kind of range where the camera's moving around a lot. The lighting is, you know, is low and kind of noirish, but like not so many shadows, and like the fight choreography is vaguely John Wickian, you know, certainly not to that extent, but like, you know, it feels frenetic, it feels kinetic in a way that like it doesn't when Leslie Nielsen is in the middle of a fight in the first one. You can go all the way back to the digital shorts and even some of the stuff that The Lonely Island was working on before they were on SNL, that like that kind of action cinema is really just like in their DNA. I mean, the most watched Lonely Island video on YouTube is "Cool Guys Don't Look at Explosions." Like that's just like,
right.
That is a language that those three guys know how to speak, and that, you know, Akiva has really kind of done an accurate impression of here that never detracts too much from the laughs.
All right, man. I'm glad you enjoyed this movie. I'm looking forward to enjoying it as well as soon as I can.
I hope you enjoy the movie. I hope you head on over to IGN.com and read our review and check out some of the other reviews that we've got of movies that we've enjoyed to varying degrees in the recent past. We got stuff on Superman. We got stuff on the Fantastic Four First Steps, and so many other movies and TV shows. And just be sure to follow IGN wherever you like to watch.